Thank you all for joining us here on We Are Iowa Plus. I'm Dana Searles, and I'm back recapping week 12 at the Iowa Legislature. This week was the second funnel deadline week, so lawmakers were focusing more on passing bills out of committee rather than debate. All bills that did not make it out of committee after this week are no longer alive. But one of the biggest moments of this week, a bill being signed into law.
Okay, it's law.
Iowa is officially the 31st state to have a hands-free driving law. People are now limited to a single touch to turn your phone on or off and can only fully use your phone while at a complete stop, like during a red light. After the governor's bill signing, we spoke with families who lost loved ones to distracted driving crashes and who have pushed for this legislation for years.
I had a terrible accident. I ended up having to have 2 surgeries. I was in the hospital for 17 days and off work for 2 months.
It's this generation's safety issue. It was like wear seatbelts and don't drink drunk when I was learning to drive. This is the safety issue for this generation.
Starting on July 1st, drivers will be issued warnings for violating the policy for the first 6 months. After that, law enforcement will begin issuing $100 fines. Now turning to bills still alive after passing out of committee. First, a proposal to expand the definition of cancer to cover all types under Iowa's presumptive disability law. Iowa firefighters have been strongly advocating for this bill. Currently, only 14 of more than 200 known cancer types are covered. That means uncovered medical costs have to be billed through personal insurance, and firefighters must also continue working to receive full pay and benefits. The bill already passed the House last month. Then a bill to lower the age to carry a handgun is also moving forward. If passed, the bill would drop the minimum age to carry or acquire a pistol or revolver from 21 to 18. An 18-year-old would still not be able to get a permit to carry weapons. Now, a Senate committee has recommended passage of the bill, making it eligible for debate. This bill already passed out of the House, so if it passes out of the Senate as is, it would head to Governor Reynolds' desk. Now legislation relating to constructing pipelines is moving forward, but it is moving along with major changes. In the original bill passed by the House, one aspect would require businesses looking to build pipelines to submit evidence showing it is properly insured. An amendment added by the Senate would expand restrictions to other types of utility pipelines, not just carbon capture. It also requires at least one Iowa Utilities Commission member to be present at informational meetings and a majority of the commission to be present at eminent domain hearings. Pipeline companies would also have to compensate landowners for damages caused by the projects. This bill is eligible for debate on the Senate floor, and since the bill has an amendment, if the Senate does pass it, it would have to go back to the House to be voted on.
You know as well as I do that to advance a bill you have to have 26 votes. So we've gotten to a point where we have 26 people willing to step up and advance some property rights legislation.
I really hope that the bill advances to the floor so we have the opportunity to have a robust debate on it, because Iowans have been asking for this, concern about their property rights for the last 4 years, and it has stalled every year in the Senate.
In another last-minute push, a bill that would ban ranked choice voting in the state, which allows voters to rank their choices in order of preference on a ballot rather than cast a singular vote. However, ranked choice voting is not used in Iowa. Critics of the bill argued ranked choice voting would erase partisanship, while supporters said this method would take election officials longer to tally the winner.
We thankfully have a great process in Iowa as compared to other states. But I think we all recognize some changes are in order as well.
The House did pass this election-related bill along party lines in the House, so this bill would be eligible to head to the governor's desk if passed. Turning now to education-related bills, 2 bills still alive and moving forward, while one notable bill dies. One would restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion at some private schools and community colleges. Another bill advancing would allow students at private schools to participate in sports or extracurricular activities at public schools. However, one bill that never passed out of a Senate committee and is currently not listed on the unfinished business page is a bill that would prohibit public universities from requiring requiring students to take courses related to DEI and critical race theory, that bill is no longer alive. Another bill at a halt is a bill that would have protected pesticide companies from health-based lawsuits that will not be moving forward this session. That's according to Iowa House Speaker Pat Grassley. It was under consideration in the House after the Senate approved it last week. However, the House, like I said, will not continue with a vote. Iowa could soon offer licenses for pediatric hospice care under a House bill which would be known upon signing as Mason's Law. Currently, there are only 7 hospice centers specifically for children across the U.S. Local 5's Alex Fulton explains the bill's progress and shares the story that inspired it.
No matter what he was going through, he wanted to focus off of him and on somebody else.
At the age of 2, Mason Seek from Grinnell was diagnosed with Gardner syndrome.
He would get colon cancer for sure, and was at high risk for many cancers, and then also had desmoid tumors.
Mason's mom, Shanna Seek, says just before his 7th birthday, he was put on hospice. At first, they tried home hospice.
That didn't work well for us. We just couldn't get his pain under control. It was just very hard to watch him go through the pain.
The Seek family searched for a hospice center and only found ones for adults in Iowa.
What we ran into was one parent could stay, not both. We also ran into our other kids could only be there so many hours.
They later discovered a center specifically for children called Crescent Cove, only it was all the way in Minneapolis.
Nobody wants to lose their child. Nobody. And no matter how much you think you're prepared for it, you're not.
Jonathan Cotter with the National Center for Pediatric Palliative Care Homes oversees the center where Mason spent his final moments.
I think a lot of people will look at a house like this from the outside and think this is a sad place, that this is all about death and dying. And it really is not. It is about enhancing the quality of life.
In Mason's honor, Shanna helped draft a bill to establish pediatric hospice care centers in Iowa.
Mason just loved it at Crescent Cove, and he very much, would wake up and say, "Mom, I love it here." And he also had said that he wished that every kid that needed a place like Crescent Cove had one.
That was Alex Fulton there reporting. Now, the bill did pass out of a Senate committee and is now eligible for debate in the Senate. Well, that wraps up week 12 at the legislature, and as we look ahead to next week, the Senate will only be allowed to consider House bills, while the House can only consider Senate bills. We are less than 1 month away from the scheduled end of the 2025 legislative session, which is scheduled for May 2nd. Thank you all for watching on We Are Iowa Plus. We'll see you back here next week.